Welcome back to the VybeShift Podcast. Today we begin a brand new VybeShift Solving Process journey together. And this week's core realization is one that I believe millions of people are quietly carrying right now, even if they rarely say it out loud. Everything feels like too much. Not just busy, not just tired, but internally overloaded, mentally stretched thin, emotionally crowded, psychologically exhausted. What makes this difficult is that many people do not even fully realize how overwhelmed they have become because this level of stimulation has slowly become normalized. The modern nervous system under pressure. We live surrounded by constant notifications, constant information, constant pressure, constant comparison, constant uncertainty, and constant emotional input from the world around us. Over time, the nervous system begins carrying far more than it was ever designed to continuously process. It is important to understand that this experience is not simply in your head. There are real psychological and physiological consequences to prolonged overload. The mind struggles to settle. The body struggles to relax. Sleep becomes lighter. Thoughts become louder. Patience becomes thinner. Even small problems begin feeling emotionally amplified. Many people today are walking around appearing functional externally while internally feeling like they are barely holding themselves together. The exhaustion beneath adaptation. Because modern culture often rewards productivity over well-being, many people have learned to suppress what they actually are experiencing. They keep performing, keep pushing, keep coping, keep adapting. But underneath that adaptation, there is often exhaustion. Not because they're weak, but because human beings were never meant to exist in a nonstop state of psychological activation. Perhaps one of the hardest parts of all of this is that people begin believing something is wrong with them personally. They think, why can't I handle this better? Why am I always mentally tired? Why can't I relax? Why does everything feel so heavy lately? But maybe the deeper question is not what's wrong with me. Maybe the deeper question is what happens to a human nervous system when it rarely experiences true rest anymore. The mind never stops moving. Many people today are physically sitting still while psychologically remaining in motion all day long. The mind keeps running, scanning, predicting, processing, planning, rehearsing, absorbing, and reacting. Eventually, the entire internal system begins feeling overloaded. This is why awareness matters so deeply. Not judgment, not self-attack, not shame, awareness. Awareness helps us to recognize I'm carrying too much. My system feels overloaded. My mind has not fully rested in a long time. And that awareness creates the possibility for change. Not overnight, not instantly, but gradually and gently. What the nervous system actually needs. Human beings often try solving overload by adding more control, more productivity systems, more optimization, and more self-pressure. But sometimes what the nervous system actually needs is less internal warfare. More space, more grounding, more emotional honesty, more moments where the body feels safe enough to finally unclench. Maybe that is where the journey truly begins, not by becoming superhuman, but by becoming aware of what your internal world has been carrying for far too long. Because once we can honestly acknowledge overload, we can begin learning how to relate to ourselves differently, with more understanding, more patience, more compassion, and less constant pressure to keep pretending we are fine. Closing reflection. If everything feels like too much right now, you're not alone. and you are not failing. You may simply be experiencing what happens when the human nervous system carries sustained psychological pressure for too long without enough recovery, grounding, and internal safety. Awareness is not weakness. Awareness is the beginning of reconnection. Little by little, moment by moment, we can begin creating more space inside ourselves again. Before we close today, we are going to continue this conversation in a much deeper and more psychologically expansive way over at the Vibrational Stage Podcast. While the VybeShift Podcast focuses on practical awareness, grounding, and everyday human experience, the Vibrational Stage Podcast explores the deeper psychological and nervous system dynamics operating beneath the surface. There we will discuss why modern life creates chronic psychological overload, how overstimulation slowly reshapes behavior and identity, the hidden emotional exhaustion beneath high functioning, why people often become disconnected from internal calm, and how the nervous system slowly relearns safety again. If today's episode resonated with you, the Vibrational Stage will take this exploration even deeper. And until next time, breathe gently, slow down when you can, and remember, you were never meant to carry the entire weight of the modern world alone. And I'll see you over at the Vibrational Stage Podcast.